Every Saturday is special, but this one had a little something extra in it. No matter the stakes, always got to check in with our guy, CBS Sports senior college hoops writer Matt Norlander. Matt, I want to start in the Big 12, kind of round out the day that was here on Saturday. Big 12 produced one of a number of unexpected conference champions, Texas outlasting Oklahoma State to earn their first ever Big 12 title. They sidestepped Kansas earlier in the week, but no less, big moment in the history of this program.
Yeah, that fact you just rattled off, first Big 12 tournament title ever for Texas, is something of a shocker. And Shaka Smart had a wonderful post-game moment with his star Andrew Jones, who has overcome a leukemia diagnosis and has been a stud for this team the past 2 seasons. You know, I was getting ready, leading into this Saturday, knowing what we're going to talk about on Selection Sunday when the brackets come out, to say Texas is a Final Four sleeper that you want to keep an eye on. You win the Big 12 tournament, though. I don't think sleeper or dark horse is really going to apply here. A team's going to be too highly seeded and too talented not to be something of a trendy pick. But how about this? Shaka Smart, let me give you the big picture here. Shaka Smart's job was certainly in some jeopardy 12 to 18 months ago. Frankly, if his buyout was lower, it is conceivable that he could have been fired or sought to go somewhere else. But that didn't happen, and look what we have here. A Texas team that is reaching its potential. It is what, right now, this is why Shaka Smart got the job, to get to this kind of point here. And I don't know who Texas is going to play in this bracket, but they do have probably a top 7 or top 8 talented roster, starting 5 in America. I spoke with Shaka Smart a little while back, I think early February, and he just told me that, wherever we go this season, it's where we go. This is a unique one-off season, all these challenges, but I'm not concerned about it. I'm going to embrace it. My guys have embraced it as well. And I just find it interesting sometimes when I'll catch these coaches in the middle of a season when, frankly, they're different human beings in March than in the middle of July, that Shaka was just so leveled, calm, and kind of, embracing the challenge, Joe, but not overly stressing about playing in maybe the second toughest league in America and all that. And now, Big 12 champs.
Yeah, wondering where it would take him. It took him to the top of the conference in the Big 12, no less. I fear that we've buried the lead here, Matt. I may have, at least. Georgetown completing their unbelievable run to a Big East tourney title. And I'm not using unbelievable as filler. If I told you this is where we would be a week ago, you would not have believed me. How do you put into words what Patrick Ewing, this thrown-together group, was able to accomplish?
I'm going to try. So when you scan across college basketball, as we turn the page to Sunday, Selection Sunday, our first Selection Sunday in 2 years, the return of the tournament is the story. But within all that, you have a lot of incredible stories. You've got Illinois' resurgence. You've got, small conference teams that were terrible a year ago that are now going to the NCAA tournament. You have undefeated Gonzaga, okay? Patrick Ewing coaching his alma mater as an 8 seed to win his first conference tournament title in 14 years, get it at the Garden. By the way, I think the security detail now knows who Patrick Ewing is.
There it is.
To get into the NCAA tournament and to do this in the months following John Thompson Jr.'s death is a goosebump-inducing story. I got to figure Georgetown's probably going to be a 13 seed. Doesn't even matter. That they got here is just a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful story. You've got Juwan Howard and Patrick Ewing, 2 of the more iconic college players of the 80s, early 90s, leading their alma maters to NCAA tournaments in very different ways. And for Ewing, it's first time ever in Big East history. Win the Big East tournament title as a player. He's done it as a coach 49 years to the day that John Thompson Jr. was hired at Georgetown.
Special stuff coming full circle there for Ewing. And I got a feeling, like you said, going to have no trouble getting into the Garden. You just got to show them the trophy. That's all. Another ticket punched in the ACC. Georgia Tech gets their first ACC title since '93. Going to make their first trip to the tourney since 2010. Matt, I want to get your opinion on Georgia Tech as a conference champ. But first, do you have a reason as to why we're seeing so many non-traditional champions, if you will, this weekend?
Frankly, I think it's just the season we've played, fewer games, more starts and stops. Some teams haven't had to play opponents. I mean, we're looking at Texas and we're looking at Georgia Tech. I'm not taking anything from them. They won the bracket, but they each had a walkover because Georgia Tech didn't have to play Virginia. Texas didn't have to play Kansas. That's also part of it there. I talk about great stories. I mean, Josh Pastner was at Memphis. He got out of town before, things got too ugly. He's gotten back to the NCAA tournament before Memphis, which is something I don't think anyone would have predicted there. They've got Moses Wright, the ACC Player of the Year, going back to the tournament after a decade-long absence. They've got a player that Michael DeVoe, who I actually like to call Ball B DeVoe. His shot is poison. Any 90s, anybody
we
picking
got
up
you.
what I'm dropping there.
We got you.
Okay, there we go. They are a wonderful story here. I was in contact. I was texting with Josh Pastner early on Saturday before their championship game, and he assured me that the face shield look will not be going away in the NCAA tournament. I think he's the only head coach in college basketball who has rocked the face shield look the entire season. And he said, I'm wearing this thing until our season's done. If we go to the national championship, I'm wearing it. So thick Josh Pastner, and I say that lovingly, congrats to you and Georgia Tech. And Jose Alvarado, you are impossible not to root for. Their lead point guard is something else. And I can't wait to see where they're seated and who they are playing, because I think people will still underrate Georgia Tech. And if you do that, your bracket might pay because of it.
Well, you answered one of my questions there that I was going to ask you off air. Next time you get on the horn with Coach, you got to ask him about the sideburns, too, because the sideburns face shield combo, it's tough to beat this time of season. We got to move on, though. As for Sunday's battle in the Big Ten that lies in wait, Ohio State, Illinois going to face off for the conference title at 3:30 Eastern on CBS. Illinois has clearly stated their case as a 1 seed despite the outcome on Sunday. But if the Illini do win in convincing fashion, let's say, how high could that catapult them in terms of overall ranking heading into the tourney?
I think 3 is the ceiling. So a little teaser, if you will. After the brackets come out on Selection Sunday on your CBS Sports app and on CBSSports.com, I will have my annual 1 to 68 ranking of every team in the field. And right now, I've got Illinois at number 3. I've got Baylor just ahead. But if Illinois shows up and wins this game in dominant fashion, I'm going to bump them to 2. It's because I do think that they have a real case to be the second most dangerous team entering the NCAA tournament. If they can beat Ohio State, do it convincingly, win the Big Ten tournament, get that auto bid, and we'll see where they land in the overall hierarchy. I mean, that has minimal gain to it, because if you're that much better, they're going to try. Remember, the committee, since there's no geography that's taking place here, they're going to do an S-curve as much as they can while having to adhere to bracket principles. So there's a couple of things in the minutia where that might affect them a little bit. But the higher you get, conceivably, the easier your field is to advance there. So they have that to play for. For Ohio State, by the way, it might safely be on the 2 line anyway. But if you beat Illinois, then it's a lock. I mean, there's no shot. Ohio State will be on the 2 line if it beats Illinois. It might be there anyway, but if it loses big, I mean, maybe the number 1 3 seed overall. But Chris Holtmann, who you got to love. See, I'm loving all of the different random storylines, near coaching fights we're getting. Chris Holtmann sharing a tweet about a text his mother sent him about 8 days ago after they lost again, saying, hey, Chris, I noticed your players, they were shooting kind of flat-footed. You might want to keep a look on that. And since then, since Mama Holtmann was sending out advice, Ohio State has turned a corner here. So I just love the way these things kind of surface, and we get these unexpected, fun little side storylines heading into the NCAA tournament.
Safe to say that the storylines are driving me out of my mind. Matt Norlander, that man is poison.
Love it.
For more from Matt Norlander and Gary Parrish, be sure to download and subscribe the Eye on College Basketball podcast. Now is the time of year to join the conversation if you have not already. Our guys break it down 1 to 68 and everything in between on the Eye on College Basketball podcast.
Want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis. No yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.